hear confirmation, of course, and some details today from the Prime Minister about the commercial rent relief program. Applications are officially open as of today. And of course, they'll be rolling today and tomorrow, are the 2 days based on where you are in the country. Prime Minister again saying today, urging landlords to apply. But that is the heart of the matter. Landlords are the ones that apply for this rent relief program, not the tenants. And it is clear that many tenants still feel very vulnerable. Benjamin Tal is Deputy Chief Economist at CIBC Capital Markets. Great to see you, Benny. And this is something we've heard a lot from businesses, Benny, that they're worried that their landlords won't play along. The landlords obviously get support, but they take a hit. They're obviously getting a subsidy here. Other than just kind of moral suasion, which the government has tried, they're not forcing landlords to play. So what do you think is the likely outcome here?
Yes, that's the main criticism, that they are not forced to do so. And, it would be extremely interesting to see how many of them will actually apply. In the beginning, quite frankly, I thought that nobody will. But now I'm looking at the numbers and I see that the collection rates of landlords is basically, 20 to 60%. In some areas like Atlantic Canada, even Quebec, you see 20, 30%. Even in Ontario, BC, you get 50, 60%. So you really cannot collect. And you say, maybe I will apply. Let's see what happens. So maybe the number will be a bit better than expected, but clearly it will not be the vast majority of landlords. They will basically take the chance, maybe defer some payments, expecting to get 100% down the road, as opposed to 40, 50% now.
Yeah, and we've heard from the Federation of Independent, Benny, you've seen the data. There is still a big number who are worried about their future, businesses which are concerned about their ability to pay their rent, their ability to stay in business. The data is a little scary. How much of this is still sort of unclear, because we still don't know in the next few weeks, some of them may be able to get back in business, some of them may not. There's so much uncertainty about how we reopen here.
Absolutely. And the rent issue is a major, major issue. And quite frankly, we were a bit late on this one because I think that many of the jobs lost is because of the fact that small businesses were unable to pay rent. Everything is connected. The effectiveness of the wage subsidy program is actually not there because of the fact that companies did not wait. So that's something that we have to take into account, quite frankly.
And I mean, I guess it'll remain to be seen, to your point, how many actually take it up. And I know these are complicated programs. We've heard people say already many times that it would have taken, months or years to put some of them in place. And here they are. They've moved very quickly. Even so, have we lost some businesses, do you think, between, in the last couple of months? Because it has taken a couple of months to get this program into place, to get dollars into hands. There are just businesses, if their landlord wasn't going to give them the time, they would not be able to pay, and then we've lost them.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we have seen, unfortunately. Yes, it's very complicated. You don't want to make too many mistakes. We are making mistakes, implementing it so fast, but you don't want too many holes in it. That's why it took time, but it took too long, I believe. And many small businesses are telling us, listen, we just cannot wait anymore. This rent business is killing us. So I'm not even bothering applying for the wage subsidy. So the effectiveness of the wage subsidy programs was actually impacted in a negative way by the fact that we waited for so long. And even here, I'm not sure that it will help much. So you have the one program, basically the $2,000 assistance, that is overutilized, and the wage subsidy is underutilized. We have to find a way to basically even the playing fields here, and we have to basically apply a rent solution. Quite frankly, this rent solution maybe will be better than expected, but it's not the absolute solution to the crisis that we are seeing with small businesses.
There is a political story around the wage subsidy that the journalists are certainly interested in, and I think Canadians are too, and that is that the not-for-profit political parties, so the Liberal Party, Conservative Party, New Democrats, have also applied for and in some cases received that wage subsidy. The Prime Minister asked about it, Benny, and he was pretty clear. He didn't say it as explicitly as he could have, but that this is a subsidy that applies to all organizations. They weren't picking and choosing, and these are not-for-profit organizations that employ Canadians, and so they qualify. It did raise one question that I wanted to put to you, and that is, somebody said, well, one of the parties has millions in their coffers. I don't know if that's true. I didn't check it. But are we checking whether or not the businesses that apply for the wage subsidy really need it, in the sense that, they may have capital that they could use if they needed to? Will we go back and make sure that they really needed this wage subsidy and get taxpayer dollars back if they didn't? It did raise that question for me. Are we being discriminate enough about this help?
No, we are not. And because of the fact that we are making it up as we go, it's something that we have to realize. When it comes to SERB money, when it comes to wage subsidies, there are many, many people, many companies that get money that they don't need to get. And I think that they don't need the money. So is there abuse of the system? Absolutely there is. But that's a cost that we have to pay, given the fact that we are in an emergency. I totally with you that down the road, a year, 2 years from now, Revenue Canada will have to hire more people to make sure that the companies, the people that apply actually were supposed to do so and did not abuse the system, and then retroactively actually collect the money. I think we should do that. We owe it to everybody else.
From an economist's point of view, it sounds to me, generally speaking, that the most important thing is to keep people in jobs. In other words, keep people afloat and working, and ideally connected to the job that will continue on the other side of the recession. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And that's why I was so vocal about this rent assistance. I wanted it like a month, 2 months ago, because everything is connected. We have to maintain the employer-employee relationship. If you want a nice recovery, you need to be able to work with the people that you have instead of start rehiring, reopening things. That will take much longer. So this relationship, the employer-employee relationship, is crucial for the trajectory of the recovery. And we lost a lot of it because of the amount of time that it took to come up with a solution, and we're not sure how effective this solution is. The rent aspect is very, very important for the effectiveness of the wage subsidy program and the unemployment story that is emerging now.
And we'll see, to your point, how many pick up on it. We did get one other announcement, a new announcement from the Prime Minister today, Benny, and I want to play a clip for you of Justin Trudeau announcing that businesses will be required to give up to 10 paid sick days per year. He says he's talking to the provinces. We don't know yet how it's implemented, but have a listen on Justin Trudeau's kind of rationale for what this means for the future.
When the fall comes and flu season starts up, we don't want people who develop a sniffle to suddenly worry that, well, they really shouldn't go into work, but they can't afford to not go into work. And therefore, the risk of contributing to a second wave significantly could be a real problem. These are things that will be essential in our recovery if we are to control the spread of COVID-19. The mechanisms are challenging, and that's why we have to work with the provinces.
Benny, and there's so much we don't know, so I know you can't answer a lot because I can't even ask you the details. We don't know. But so far, most companies treat their sick leave as a benefit that they give to their employees. It's not an entitlement. It's a benefit you get. You're not allowed to have 5 days no matter what, or 10 days no matter what. It is expensive. When you hear this, does it sound to you just like a rational thing to do because we might get a second wave, because people should not go to work sick ever? Or does it sound like something that's going to impose a burden on businesses?
Well, I think that this is the beginning of a trend. This is just one example of many. I think that the cost of doing business will rise. The cost per employee will rise because we're talking about wages. This crisis revealed the vulnerability of Canadian labor, and this is going to change, not only in Canada, but everywhere else. And this is just part of this trend. Clearly, it will be much more expensive, but at the same time, everybody agrees. If you're sick, nobody wants you to go to work, yeah? We now totally realize that. So I think that we are going this direction, and as the fog clears 2 years from now, it will be more expensive to do business in Canada, like in any place else globally. So something that we have to take into account, that will lead to some sort of productivity enhancement, that will lead to a higher unemployment rate because it will be more costly to hire people. But that's the direction we are going. And this is something that makes sense at this point. Clearly, the Prime Minister makes sense when he's talking about 10 days or whatever the numbers here, because this is something that we need. But it will raise the cost of doing business, no question about it.
All right, Benjamin Tal, always great to have your thoughts. Appreciate it. Benjamin Tal is Deputy Chief Economist at CIBC.